So we're here with a very good friend of mine, Rene. Rene, I met him about 1 year ago. He's come visit us to Portugal in February, if I'm not mistaken. I brought him here
Yeah,
today to talk a little bit about business, AI, automations. You're someone that I look up to a lot when it comes to this area, and you've definitely helped us out a lot when it comes to consulting. So I wanted to bring you on. Do you want to give a little bit of an introduction, a short one, about what you do currently?
yeah, 100%. Thanks for the invite, Andre. And by the way, Lisbon was a blast when I was there, and February was the right date. My name is Rene. I'm the founder and owner of Wingro, which is an AI automations and operation agency. So we offer things like fractional COO, CTO. We also build and sell different products, which I'm going to talk about a little bit further in this. But I haven't always been in this specific area. I started my entrepreneurial career inside tech, so crypto, blockchain, technology project and business. And then after that, I went into lead generation for about a year, something. And that's really when I started building myself. When I had a lead generation agency, I started building myself all the systems and all the automations in place to operate without spending my entire time doing this. And that's also when I realized that other lead gen agencies wanted basically what I built. So I kind of pivoted from there. Instead of like trying to find the gold, I just started selling the shovel, which was like operations that I had good experience in, and the automation tech industry that I had good experience in. And that led to now, which basically operations automation, and now we're adding more and more AI nowadays because 2025, if you're not into AI, I don't know what to say.
Yeah. One thing I like about you is that you're a very practical man, in the sense that I remember last year I was doing a lot of AI builds and you were doing a lot of operations and automations. And I remember one day you came to me and you were like, I want to learn and get to know more about AI. And now, less than 1 year after that, you're pretty much doing everything related to AI, N8N, and intelligence agents. How many clients would you say you work with up until this date, mainly when it comes to the operations?
So there's definitely a mix because I'm also coach and consultant when it comes to automations and operations in some groups. But overall, into all my businesses, talking about the specific topics, those specific topics, I would say over 100 now, easily. Clients that I've done full build for them, so like having my hands inside their business at right now, at least 50 plus in about a year and a half. So it's safe to say that I have good experience in two different industries because I don't just work with one industry. I work with YouTube agencies, lead generation agencies, sales agencies, marketing agencies, ads, name it. I've pretty much done all the conventional online business model that you have right now, including e-commerce as well.
What are some of the most common problems that you find in these agencies? You can maybe, for example, give our example if you want, if it's easier.
Yeah, yeah. So one thing that's important to mention is I do tend to work more with smaller to medium agency sides, so the problems are different. If I talked about this, which is the reality of most people, I think maybe listening to the podcast, trying to start their own agency, AI agency, as they're small, and everyone is just lacking the operational skills. So they think about something that they want to do, and they're good maybe at selling it, but in reality, their business is not. It's not a business; it's a prison for themselves, and they end up working 12 to 16 hours a day because they got to do everything inside the business. So fulfillment, acquiring new clients, responding to everyone, uh, basically operations. And that's why I specialized into operations. Even before I had any technological experience, I was already having experience in operations. I do think that, and that's a classic mistakes in the space where people forget that automation is not like it's used less as a skill. It's a commodity if you're not good in operations.
Yeah.
And that makes a difference between a Fiverr guy who you can purchase automation from for $10 and someone who's gonna actually make your business run.
Yeah. One thing I see there is that most businesses think their true problem is sales, And yeah, that's always the variable you want to maximize the most, sales revenue. But most, if we look deeper into people's businesses, their actual problem is operations, because they don't have the time to focus on the activities that will actually bring revenue, because they're stuck doing the day-to-day tasks, responding to emails, checking up on team members. But it's a difficult psychology for people to understand, right? Do you feel that problem?
Yeah, so what I would say, it depends on the stage that you are. But I know many agencies owners that maybe do 100K, 200K per month, and their operations are like they're non-existent. And so yes, in their case, the operations are the bottleneck. If we follow the traditional path of anyone starting an agency online, they're going to be able to reach 20, 30, 40K per month without much thinking about operations. But it's also like doing tax retroactively. It's not fun when you got to do it. And you're at that point, you're making 30K, 40K per month. You're by yourself, or maybe you have a VA as well. And then you just got to go back and build everything again from scratch while still servicing clients. And that's the big issue that I see. And sometimes that work never gets done. And so that person is going to make some nice money for sure, but he's going to put some 12 to 16 hours a day. And, if you want to have vacation, it's basically not possible. And if you fall sick, then it's also a problem as well. Those are really the problems that I see. But and generally speaking, though, you can have the best product if you don't have any distribution. It's not going to work as well. So sales is still a very important thing, the
Yep.
most important thing, I think.
And how would you differentiate, because that's a topic I've been speaking a lot about, how would you differentiate operations from automations?
Oh well, so I'm pretty sure anyone that's listening to this at some point ever walked into, I don't know, a store or like a gym or any business and saw something that they thought didn't make sense because it didn't seem optimized. I mean, if you're in the world, in the technological world, probably you have a logical mind as well. And when you spot those things that you think are not optimized or they don't make sense, or you could say it's a little bit stupid the way it's done, then fixing that and making it like where it's smart and it's optimized is what I call operations. If I explain it in layman's term, it's basically taking things that are not optimized or just don't work the way they are and transforming them, so action per action, into something that could scale further and something that makes sense and something that's going to save you time. And then the last step, so that's like 80% of the work, by the way, because if you just have good operations and then you got a team that act on it, your business is going to be doing good. But then when you had the last 20%, so the automation portion of it, then that's where you can build very nice businesses with a lean team. It's kind of what I did for my own business, by the way.
Yep, because that's always the goal that we're trying to do. I remember I had a, let's say, a mindset last year that my business is very hard to automate, meaning I could automate and optimize other people's businesses with ease, but I had a lot of difficulty in my own. And now I've moved to a lean structure mainly because of that, which is if I preach a lean business but I'm full of fat in my own business, that doesn't make a lot of sense to the people on the other side. For example, I remember a client we had in common, the YouTube agency guy, that you built
Hmm.
a masterpiece of operating system, and you can go a little bit on detail on that if you want. But you built them a brilliant operating system that pretty much allowed them to manage all the company's operations in one place, in one platform. But they had a problem, which was the people were not using it. So how do you combine operations with people then using and following the steps, let's say?
Yeah, so that's a multi-layer problem, in essence. So that client did go from 30K per month stock, 30 or 40K per month stock to 100, 120K by the time I was working with him, because he simply went from doing everything manually, everywhere scattered, to one centralized place. That itself made him grow, made the growth possible. But then, yeah, the issue with change management, because the issue you're describing is called change management, is when people don't really use the full functionalities that you're building. And that is more of a management problem than anything else. If you build custom software depending on how they work, but they choose not to use it because they keep in their old way, which was not optimized, then it's something that the management team needs to be fixing, internally speaking. Um, of course, at that time, it was a little bit different. I was not like an external consultant. I was actually doing fractional COO. So I was working on this actively, and then eventually some people started using it. But that business had other bottlenecks as well, for different kind of things. Basically, we went from someone that's very, very good at what he does and sell it, but doesn't know how to deliver it, to now he's got the systems to deliver it, and that completely transformed his business.
Yep. And that then brings other problems, which is, in my case, I saw that I was very good at selling and I was very good at delivery, but then I had a problem of systemizing, delegating, and leading. So every bottleneck that you fix in your business, I remember you spoke a lot about this in our consulting days. Every problem that you fix in your business will show you the next problem. Not problem, but the next bottleneck and the next bottleneck. And pretty much what you're trying to do as a business owner is identify these bottlenecks and fix them. Because the more efficient you can be, more profit margin you'll have, the more clients you can handle, correct?
Yeah. So yeah, basically that's a base principle in operations. If you just, I would say for people that start in agency, if you just looked at your business in terms of bottleneck perspective, fixing those bottlenecks is what's going to get you the better, the most ROI, basically your return on investment. Because if you fix something that's taking your business output by 50%, and then you just like you put it neutral where okay things flow normally now, and it's not bottlenecking 50% of your business, but that means you can literally do that. Like you can output 50% more in theory. Okay, it depends on what you do. I say in theory because you're going to get another bottleneck somewhere else. But that also means that by fixing this one, you fix the one thing that was causing the most problem. So bottleneck is not just the way you do service deliveries or anything. It could be sales. And I would say the biggest bottleneck for most new agency owners are sales, like generating leads and selling. And so yeah, if you instead of booking 2 meetings per week, you book 10, then you basically did a 5x on that. So of course you're probably going to sell more clients. And then your problem's probably going to be like, okay, you just sold 10 new clients in like the past 3 months or something like that. How do you onboard everyone, and how do you do service delivery for everyone? So just by following this chain, you're going to know what to fix inside your business.
Yeah. So first step is mapping all of the steps in the process from generating interest, generating a lead, into closing, into onboarding, into retaining someone and upselling them. And then it's looking, for example, I remember in our case, we were spending a lot of time on onboarding and on inbox management. So onboarding, I think it took us about 3 hours to do. We were able to cut it to 1 hour, and we were onboarding 4 to 5 clients per month. So per month, just there, we saved about 8 hours. That's eight
Yeah.
hours that the person that was doing the onboarding and that knows the client, instead of creating drives, creating documents, creating slacks, sending a welcome message, could be spending researching about the client, reading the onboarding form, and then preparing questions from the get-go, in order to make a better use and have better insights to then write campaigns, right? And pretty much what we're looking is those two X, because I was having this conversation with a consulting client last week, which is, if you want to double sales, you cannot only look at the variable of selling, so the amount of clients that you close. Because, for example, to double sales, you can reduce follow ups, show up rate in half. Because, for example, if in 10 out of 5, if in 10 meetings, 5 show up, and instead of 5, 10 show up, essentially you are having double the meetings. And if all variables remain the same, you will double your business, right? So if conversion rate stays the same. So it's looking where most people don't look.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think Ormozy has a lot of good videos explaining this when it comes to like statistics for sales. I think sometimes people overlook it, just like, okay, we got to generate more leads, book more meetings, and that might not be a meeting issue at all. It might just be that, yes, if you go under the hood and you've got a 30% show rate, then that's the first thing that you want to fix. Because if you bring this to 70, 80%, then you almost do 2.5x on your
Yeah.
number of show up lead. And so, okay, if you do this, and then now you've got out of 10 leads, you've got like, let's say 8 that shows up, and then you have a 20% close rate, then it becomes much more interesting. Maybe you try to bring that close rate to 40, 50% if you're doing content on the side and you're nurturing people before they book. And that's gonna be it. And then that should be what people focus on before outputting maximum amount of money in ads or cold email to try and generate hundreds of leads per month. And that's kind of how you go with the different levels of budget, right? Because you're not going to throw $10,000 in ads every week if you're just like signing one client. Uh, your customer acquisition cost is going to be way too high depending on what you do here. But I'm assuming that most people do like AI automation agency that are watching this, you know. So you got to go by level. So you got to tweak your metrics. And also another one that people overlook is churn. If you're churning someone every month and you're acquiring one client every month, then you're not growing, you're just stalling, and then you're just chasing new clients. So yeah, there's a lot of things to look at under the hood.
Yeah, that's a shift you were the one that made me have, which is focus more on retention rather than acquisition, because it's easier to retain a client rather than acquire a new client. Meaning, it's easier for someone that has paid you in the past to pay you again rather than someone that never paid you to pay you again. But that's all pretty. So, like looking at the metrics and knowing what to change, to me, that's a high level skill, which is being able to know the only fix is not just to increase the number of leads, but also to increase show up rate, conversion rate, all of that. But in order for that to be possible, and that's where I believe you shine a lot, is being aware of those metrics, having the numbers, and having them come automatically in dashboards that you can see, rather than at the end of the week, okay, how many calls did we have, how many showed up, what was the conversion rate, verbal agreements. So what's the logical step on that? First, do you think of the metrics that you want, then figure out where do they come from? What's the like chronological order there?
Well, so there's a couple of things in here, like being aware, like you said, of those metrics. It comes with experience. If you're new in business and that's your first business, then you're probably going to listen to podcasts like this or listen to other YouTube videos, and you're going to learn about those. What you need to do is decide if what you're hearing is like it's the right timing for your business right now. If we're talking about tracking a number of sales calls that you have, the people that show up, your close rate, your churn rate, those are usually basic metrics that you're going to want to look at. But do they make sense if you're just starting out right now? You're trying to acquire your first one or two, three clients. It probably doesn't make sense to you
Yeah.
for you to develop your operations in this, because you're at that point where you're just trying to sell and make your first money, right? At that point, it's arguably you're a freelancer online. Um, so the first things, like, because I work with many new entrepreneurs in my coaching and consultation business. It's just have your offer, then start acquiring leads, and there's many ways to do this. From there, define what you're like, what literally you're offering and how you can provide the service. Maybe define your framework of how you provide that service. So start mapping it out. And then with experience, that first map is probably going to change for sure, because you don't know everything about your industry when you just start out. So you'll need to do this and then evolve with time, and then block Legos by block Legos. You're going to start thinking about, okay, I'm booking 5 meetings per week right now. Maybe I should check, okay, what's my show rate? And then maybe you realize that your short is 40%, and then you realize that your canned lead settings have no follow-up, so people were just like forgetting about it. Then it's a simple fix. You had this, and then maybe your show rate becomes instead of 40% becomes 50%, and then you're just going to go up the ladder like this. Another way of shortcutting is also consultation. It's something that I pay for. You also paid for, Andre. Just talk with people that are higher level than you when you feel like you're ready to go to that next level.
Yeah, because I think this is what most people don't realize. At least I didn't when I was starting out. Is you will always pay, but you can pay with time or with money. Meaning, in the case that I paid you, I wanted to build my operating system, my systems, my onboarding process, and my delivery process. If I were to do it myself, it would probably have taken me maybe 6 months, and time is money. I cannot be affording to spend 6 months. I paid you and I paid my developer to build it. So two people. We built it, I believe, in 2 months, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, we're still optimizing it to date because that's something that I learned as well, which is you cannot build the final product from scratch. You will need to stress test it and see what needs come up over time. But yeah, in that case, it made way more sense to pay with money rather than spend triple the time trying to make it work. Because then it's the cost of inaction. So how much money am I losing by not having my onboarding process automated? How much money am I losing by not having a clear view of everything that's happening in the business? Um, do you want to open up a Miro and do you want to cook a little bit? I was thinking that we can share the screen here because I remember something that amazed me when I met you is I paid you for a first consulting call. You opened up a Miro and in like 15 minutes you mapped out my entire business, and I was like, what is this? I had never used Miro in the past. If you want, I have a good use case that I would want to do for a previous case that you showed me, which is you transitioning from service to product, right? Because what you did in the
Sure.
lead gen product, you used to sell it as a custom build. You built it for people, but then eventually it's like, okay, how can I systemize this and sell it as a product with a 1 to 2 hour delivery rather than me having
Mm-hmm.
to build it from scratch, correct?
Yeah, sure. Well, if we talk about because you mentioned you're still optimizing your operating system, which is completely normal. I don't think you should be stalled for this. If we talked about the one product I built for lead generation agencies, right? This whole thing started with me building it for myself based on the experience I had in lead generation and what I was doing. And other people started saying, okay, like I like this, I want it. And then I sold it to them. And then people were just coming like, oh, I'd like to have this new feature because I'm doing this and this and this and this. So the Legion operating system that I sell, which is basically like a McDonald's franchise at this point for lead generation, it has been built over a year and a half of 40 plus lead generation agencies just like giving me their feedback on features that they use. So there's a lot like it would be impossible literally for someone to just like look at it and replicate it and understand like the full extent of it because this is baked into lead generation agencies doing like 10K per month to 150K per month and inside one Airtable massive we call that an ERP, so like all the software together plus no code automation in the backend and in some cases code now for certain features. So it has become this very complex system. But to me, like I wanted to make this a product. It used to take me 13 hours to deliver that product to people. Sure, I can hire someone and have that someone deliver the product and spend 13 hours just doing one product, but that makes my margin way lower. So what we did, because we understand the nature of what's a no-code automation, if you're listening to this, no-code automation is basically JSONs, right? So you probably copied some templates back in the days, or you're still doing just to practice. And JSONs is just a text format that you can modify. So knowing this, it's very much possible to just adapt all the IDs, like create a script that's going to modify the IDs being used and those JSONs, and then automate the automations, because your automation gets the IDs of your new client, paste this into the JSONs, and then the JSONs is being applied into the client make.com or Rene automatically without anyone touching it. And that reduced my product delivery, my service delivery from 13 hours to 1 hour, which is amazing. It's something super complex that was made super easy.
Yeah. And what do you think are, because I'm doing that shift now as well. What do you think are the main differences from selling a service to selling a product?
Yeah, so what's fun with product, and every time I like in my many different businesses, I think it's also a choice, but I tend to prefer selling products, digital products, in a sense, because it requires less back and forth and customer interaction. When you provide a service, like you need to be that good agency that's going to always communicate in a good way and like answer the needs of that clients, which are often custom. So you're providing, let's say you're doing ads for a client, and you're going to interact with that client. Okay, what products are you doing right now? How do you want the ads and stuff like that? If I just sell a product like my lead gen OS and it's already like pretty well built, I just sell it. And then I sell some maintenance for fixing problems, but I don't have many interactions to do back and forth. To me, that's a massive plus, because that means I can use my time to develop new things and not just like waste it into client communications back and forth. Not to say that communicating with clients is a waste of time, but it's a totally different business model. Product is way more leverage, if you ask me, and then you can also put ads and see a direct correlation. Like if you put more money into your ads, and then people click on the buy button on your website, and they get your product, then you see it directly. Service, you're probably going to have that call, you're going to sell them on who you are, what you do, they're going to check your case studies, and then you're going to need to do that full onboarding process, gather the information, and then build that custom thing that you're doing for them.
Yeah. But do you feel, because it was your pet and I feel this, which is like, for example, I always wanted for last year to sell products slash SaaS due to that leverage. I want to be creating rather than communicating and fixing problems that come up. But I felt as if I had to do service first to understand business and problems and leadership and management before then, okay, now I have industry expertise to the point that I can go fix a problem that I know it's very recurring with
Mm-hmm.
technology. Do you
Yep.
feel that as well? Which is you have to, let's say, do some years in service before going into products.
Yeah, so there's many ways to look at this, but I talked about this in my YouTube videos as well. That's kind of the advice I give. I talked about you should sell products, but yeah, how do you get to products? What I did and what I advise people to do is, yes, start in service, do custom projects to be more precise. Why? Because you're going to sharpen your sword, you're going to understand like the market, and people are going to request actual things that they want you to fix. Uh, and so all of those projects that you're going to do, those custom projects, are going to be learning lesson for you. And then if you start fixing the same thing over and over again, then one, you're getting paid to have the market validate answers to you, which is the total different approach that people just building a SaaS from scratch do.
Yeah.
If you're building a SaaS, you're getting funded, you just go off an idea, and then you try to build and validate your product on the market, but then you might not be validated, so you're going to pivot. Like most SaaS end up pivoting from what they were initially doing. Sorry, and instead of doing that and just shooting in the dark and then eventually hitting something, what I do is I go in the market, I provide value in the market, and then I take the market learnings and I build a product out of it. And I think, to me, it's a way smarter way to do it. Maybe it takes more time because You know, you might not stumble into an opportunity super fast, but when you do find something, it's going to be validated. So you're not going to be shooting in the dark here.
Yeah, I have two takes there, which is first one, I remember last year, we had a lot of builds that were someone fills in a form, AI builds the, let's say, YouTube scripts or cold email campaigns based on the inputs from the form, and then we used to deliver it via a Google Doc. But then we found a way to deliver it via PDF with proper bolding, syntax, all of it. And we upsold 3 clients in a week based on that. And it was like 1 hour job to deliver for all three.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because I already had a solution in place. It was just selling an extra feature. And then if I could have done it, because at the time I only had 3 clients on that build, but if I had 100, it would have taken me maybe 10 hours. But I would have sold 100 clients times, let's say, 250 on that upsell. It's number one I see. Number two is it's literally what you said, which is, for example, in my case, I'm going into this SaaS. I don't know if it's going to be the SaaS that I'll be selling in 1 year and a half from now, but I want to learn how to manage a SaaS, the metrics of a SaaS, how to sell a SaaS, how to deliver in a SaaS. So that when the time comes, if I see a better opportunity, I'm like, okay, I'm not starting from scratch because I know how to build, how to sell, how to manage, and how to deliver. Which is so it's more of becoming the person capable of building and selling a SaaS rather than having a, let's say, a lucky coin, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, SaaS is a great model as well, but it's a different model than what we're doing. Uh, or at least I am doing. I have friends that are building SaaS, they're getting funded, and the whole thing is a different game than the agency model that I'm currently operating, and that I think most people get their first experience in online. Everyone tries to do agency, and they go off YouTube, the different popular model, and they try to do that. SaaS is definitely something else. The grass seems greener on the other side as well, so you're probably gonna experience that as well. But it's also like not that you only hear about the successful stories in essence.
Yeah,
You don't hear about the thousands of failures. You hear about the one SaaS that just exists for 80 million by a solo founder because of AI, right? That's not the reality for everyone. There's also something that might be interesting to think about and talk. Um, is the fact that now that AI is becoming so good at doing things for you just based on prompt. I mean, the whole trend right now about vibe coding. Sure, there's a lot of fluff and a lot of hype in it, but there's also a lot of things that are true and are truly interesting, and that's just gonna get better. We're gonna shift towards something where it doesn't take as much time to spin out a product, a SaaS, for example. And what's going to be important is the idea and distribution. So we go back to sales, right? Sales is the most important thing. Uh, but everyone in the near future, especially when MCP is going to be like more integrated everywhere, is going to be able to just go from one prompt and build some interfaces and something that
yeah,
works. So that's something to think about SaaS.
yeah, yeah. Because for example, in my case, what did I do? I had an idea in mind. I spent maybe 1 hour and a half on Claude building prototypes and interfaces. I pitched it to 10 people and they liked it. So okay, let me build this up. Let me scale it. But it's exactly that, and that's something that I speak a lot with, which is the creation of the software is not going to be the differentiating part. What's gonna make it differentiating is one, what's the idea slash what is the problem that you're selling, and number two, how well can you distribute that into the market.
Yeah, it always comes down to distribution, to be honest. There's many example of this. So we can just take AI ChatGPT, right? If you walk in the street and you ask about AI, most people are going to say, "Oh, ChatGPT," And you can verify that. Just go on Google Trend and check ChatGPT against Gemini and against Claude, and check the scores. There is a Grand Canyon in terms of gap here. Even though, arguably, right now, I'm almost not working with ChatGPT anymore. I think Claude is way better. Gemini is way better for certain things as well. But people are still thinking only about ChatGPT when it comes to mainstream. Why? Because ChatGPT had that first mover advantage, and their distribution is just better.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause from my perspective, for the last 1 year and a half, I've only used Claude. I use GPT in some cases, mainly for building custom GPTs. But I've used Claude for all the rest. But it's like I love it when people say GPT is the best one because yes, it's the best known, but it's not the best model. It comes to coding, copywriting, creating interfaces, and all of that. What would you?
Yeah,
Yeah, go on.
I was gonna add here, like if you're into AI and you actually start taking the time to prompt the same thing across different models, and sometimes even what I'm doing for fun is having the models argue against each other on a specific topic. So I would have an output of ChatGPT, and I'd feed the same question in Claude and say, "Here's what ChatGPT said to me. Like, do you agree? Do you not like? Don't you? Do you not agree or whatever?" And then Claude would bring some valid things like, yeah, ChatGPT seems way more generalist in terms of answers. It's not going super in depth when you ask something. It tends to be more of a yes man than anything. It's going to validate what you say. And people are falling into this trap as well. Like they're getting validated by AI, but then AI is just made to validate you and not so much
Yeah,
correct you unless you prompt it to be objective and do it. Uh, which is something I can appreciate from Claude as well. I've been using Claude out of all the AIs a lot more. There's also Grok right now, Grok 4 that just came out. That's becoming super interesting. It's way more pricey, but it's also arguably right now in terms of this week or last week the best AI out there. It just changes every week.
yeah. I think to me it's one of the most beautiful skills is being able to speak with a large language model. In my case and yours, from what I understand, Claude, because you can get so much out of it, so much out of it. You just need to know how to speak correctly. For example, one of the prompts I always use when I'm when I want to go deep in a topic is like, don't be a yes man. Play devil's advocate and like challenge my thought because I might not be thinking correctly. One of the things I like to do as well is when I reach the end of a long conversation, is like, okay, give me an analysis into my way of thinking. What's missing me? How did my thinking about X topic evolve during this conversation? And that is teaching me a lot about me, for example, and about how I fix problems.
Yeah. What
What would
I
you?
what
Yeah,
I sorry, it just made me think about something. Because it's something I've been doing more and more lately. I do have on Cloud an entire discussion, which is basically me that fed my life story, what I've done, my daily situations that I have, my business, what I'm doing, what I want to do. Like, just put it simply, almost another me for what I could input inside the chat. But it's getting new things every day by how I think, and I use it to interact with. Like as most like it's my shadow in some ways. And then sometimes I'm just like, okay, what would I do in this situation? And then it gives me ideas that, yeah, I thought about, but some other ideas I did not think about. And the way that I think myself, which is super valuable to me. And it's something that I've explored for various aspects of my life. And I think that is a big benefit. And more people should be doing that. If you, and that's important, you say be objective, don't be a yes man. Because if you don't say that last part, all you get is another you that validates you. And that's
yeah,
not good for growth.
yeah. But it's brilliant because especially when you give detailed context, very detailed context. Because what is large language model? Essentially, it's an algorithm that predicts based on the knowledge that it has. It predicts what will happen or the next characters based on what it has been fed. and I literally see it as a pattern recognition algorithm. And when you give all of that context, when something happens, when a new situation comes up, what it will do is look at how you fixed all the situations in the past and like, hey, this is your pattern for recognizing things. Normally, you would fix it in X way. Do you agree with that? Do you think that's the best way to agree with it in any tasks? Why do you think that?
Yeah.
It's very good for this back and forwards.
Yeah, I think one interesting I've also done. So if you're familiar with the 16 personality types, I don't know if you've done the test. I am myself a INTG, so normally someone very logical. And I fed this information to the AI. So sometimes I'm going to explain something I'm thinking about, and it's going to say, "Oh, that's very like out of the blue." Even though I said this to the AI like maybe a month ago, it's going to say, "Oh, it's very INTG of thinking," but like how here's another perspective on things. And then personally, I like it because if I can be challenged um, by other form of thinking, so like just another context, then I to me it's useful
Yep.
as long as it's not a yes man.
Yeah, I can tell you a quick workflow. I made a video about this. I did exactly that, the 16 personality tests, but I did it for everyone that I was collaborating with. I asked them to do it, so my team members and my, let's say, service providers. And I put that all in a document, and I pretty much then started the conversation with Claude, which was like, okay, these are all the personalities I have inside of my team. These are the functions and responsibilities that I have inside of my team. Try to guess which one is doing what, and it was correct in 5 out of 6. The one that was incorrect, it was basically a person that the test said he was very social and he was in a role that he didn't speak with anyone all day. So it was a development role. And I approached him with it, and he was like, "Yeah, I feel lonely sometimes during the day." So we put him in a more collaborative role, and his performance instantly went up. I would have never recognized that, okay? But then I went a step further, which is for 3 weeks straight, I noted down on a CSV, on an Excel, every task that I did, how long it took, and what was the function. So, for example, internal marketing, admin, sales call, consulting call, responding to an email, all of that. Then I went to that same conversation and I was like, these are my priorities to grow the business. So number one, number two, number three. These were all the tasks that I did in the last 3 weeks. Who should I hire for to allow me to spend more time in these priorities? And it said admin role. And I was like, okay, based on the personality tests of my team and having in mind that this person will collaborate with X person that has this personality, X person that has Y personality, who do you think I should hire for? And it gave me like a list of, let's say, traits that the person has. Then I was like, okay, based on this, create me the LinkedIn job post that attracts this specific type of person and create me a form with 15 questions in order for the person to answer before the, let's say, the hiring call. And based on that, I got 3 answers, and one of them is the best employee I have to date, because it was literally it was a hire made on data and facts
Mm-hmm.
rather than intuition, which is, oh, I need to hire a personal assistant. Why? Which type?
Yeah.
To do what?
Yeah, it's a very interesting use case, by the way. I hope people pick up on that one. Yeah, especially when it comes to hiring and for people that are new and starting in business, you're going to make mistakes in the hiring, 100%. Everyone makes them. And in fact, some of the big CEOs are saying that their whole job is just hiring and they just get it right 20-25% of the time. So
Yeah.
where it's not going to be something you get all the time. But when you do, it can literally transform your business when you get it right. And if there's tools to help you achieve that, then it's a very good thing. It's something you should use.
Yep. Okay. Last 2 questions, we can wrap this up. What do you think is the opportunity when it comes to AI and automations? Because you spoke about selling the shovels instead of selling the gold, let's say, instead of I don't know what the expression is. nowadays.
Basically finding the goal. I'm not
Exactly.
sure in
So
English
selling the
what's the exact
shovels.
expression.
Yeah, so like in the Industrial Revolution, there was a guy that made a lot of money not going for gold, but selling trousers that had, let's say, pockets that the guys who were mining for gold were able to put their tools in the trousers. And he made fucking a lot of money with it. It's the guy from Levy. I don't know how you say it in English.
Yeah.
But when everyone is AI, what do you or what do you want to say in public, of course, what do you think are the opportunities?
Yeah. So I think okay. So as much this is a guess, an educated guess, but I don't have the answer for this, and I don't think anyone has the answer for this. It's kind of like trying to guess where the market is going with Trump talking every minute. Um, my guess right now is that AI is advancing very, very, very quickly, and so nobody has the ideas in place to build something that's going to be useful for many, many years and decades to go. Um, you need to build something that's not going to be reliant on the big models, because if they're reliant on the big models, why are the big models not doing it themselves? Which I'm just going to give you an example here. I heard about a guy trying to make, he was searching for a new business opportunity, and then he came up with that idea of using AI to shop for like the best clothing, apparels, blah, 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 and directly from AI. Well, that was a bad idea. One, because it's not really, I don't think it's really his idea. He probably read this subconsciously. OpenAI is doing that with Shopify. So you don't have a business here. So
Yep.
you will have to think about things that the big models won't go for, That's the first. But the real opportunity might be to be the employee, if you're an employee, might be to be the employee inside the business that brings AI into the business and transform the chance. That's kind of how you're going to get your value up in terms of skills that you know. That is if you're an employee. Because businesses are going to look to implement AI 100%. They just don't know how right now. So if they have someone that decides to upskill himself and propose some new things, then that's going to be you. You're going to be paying more. That's like one thing I'm pretty sure in terms of opportunities right now. In terms of business owners, new entrepreneurs, don't just settle for AI automation. That doesn't mean anything, and everyone can just spin up an AI agent real quick. Doesn't mean it's good. In fact, most AI agents are useless in production mode. It's just hype on YouTube. What you need to be doing is acquiring experience in operations first, and then automation. And then you're going to spot things with experience that AI does make sense to use in certain circumstances to make your workflow less complex, make it faster, and essentially do basic functions that human might do. When you get into the agentic stuff, this is going to be like farther down the line. And quite frankly, there's not that many AI agents in production right now. That's just not the case because it's unreliable and it's like it breaks often, so it's not production ready. And we might even skip, like, that's just me guessing. We might even skip the AI agent in production phase because of MCP that's coming. It's like a big leap on top of a big leap. And that big leap, the MCP leap, might just like erase the agentic one, because MCP is like the USB-C plug for automations. It might
Yeah.
render no-code tool useless because you're going to be in cloud. You're going to say, make me a UI, make me a UI UX that connects to my accounting software, and that connects to Stripe, and then that links both transactions together when I receive the money or something like that, just from a prompt, and it builds it. And that's not so far because Cloud MCP with Stripe already exists. So we're just waiting on QuickBooks and Xero now. And that could be something doable like next week.
Yeah.
We're not so far from that.
Yeah. Because
Uh,
I think something that people don't have in mind, but I think a lot about this is we only see what is public.
yeah,
On the back end, that's all possible. Like with one message, I believe it might not be only looking at the backend, but at the backend you can be like connect my Stripe to my Airtable to my WhatsApp and make it all work together. Please pretend you're a top consultant. and build me a brilliant system. You have 1 minute. Go. And
Yeah.
boom.
One thing I want to say, and that's my thinking. That's how I think about making money when it comes online. Maybe I should not say this on the podcast. Uh, to me, this business is it's a game. It's like the market when you invest, and you make. There's many ways of making money in the market. You can long the market, which means betting on it going up, short betting on it going down, or you can play volatility as well. So the uncertainty, basically on both sides. You can also try to predict based on trends. You can predict based on industries, which is something I've done in crypto. If I notice patterns and I see that DeFi, so decentralized finance, is going up, and the main token is going up, then chances are the side tokens are going to go up as well. What I want to say with this is right now, this opportunity, this volatility, and the trending thing that's lagging is the implementation in small businesses. So instead of looking at trying to make the one big thing in AI, which only a few are going to get it, like the NHL or the NBA, maybe focus your time on actually implementing AI to businesses that are craving this implementation, and whatever that is. There's going to be local businesses wanting to develop AI to basically optimize their operations and make things faster and augment their margins. There's going to be online agencies. The big companies are probably already on this, like Microsoft, Meta. They have all the superstars. I mean, I saw Mark Zuckerberg just poaching superstars people for like hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, you're not going to sell to those enterprise because the enterprise are going to be sold by enterprise. And I'm saying this as someone who works with smaller, medium agencies, and like that's a different world. And so
Yep.
if you're from this world as well, like just realign your expectation as well.
Yep, that's something that I see as well, which is like the more niche you go, the more safe you are from the big corporations. I remember, I don't know the timeline, I think it was last July. A lot of people were building platforms that allowed you to create AI agents. And then OpenAI saw that in 3 months after it came up with the custom GPTs. And like, are you going to use a software from someone you don't know, or are you going to use the same software but in OpenAI, which is let's say, the mother of AI? So
Yeah,
the more, because that's how they build the products as well. They see what the market is doing, what the market is selling, and what the people are asking for, and they build that. Difference is when they build it, they take all of the market. When we build it, we must distribute it infinitely. We don't have the reach nor the development potential that they have.
yeah. I think it's just as a business owner, you got to know your lane and who you're going after. And it's the same thing as if you were becoming a new YouTuber, right? Would you try and compete against PewDiePie and MrBeast? Probably not. And that'd be a stupid thing to do, to be honest. You're
Yeah.
gonna go in steps. So you're gonna go in level. And then when it comes to this game, the AI implementations and businesses, then you're also gonna start level one, like everyone else. Unless you've got past experience in tech, good connections and stuff, maybe you're gonna skip some levels. But generally speaking, if you're a new business owner, everyone starts at the same point.
Yeah. Where can people find you? Where can people pay you? Let's say if they want to learn more from you. I've paid a lot, and I recommend paying you. You're a very one of the best ROIs I've ever had. Um, what do you have for us?
Appreciate it. So yeah, there's many ways to reach me out. You can reach me on my email at rene@windgrowth.com. You can also go on YouTube and type Rene Lambert. You're
We're
gonna
gonna put
find
that on
my
the
YouTube
gonna
channel.
put that on the description. Yeah, the YouTube.
Yeah, thank you. Doing a lot more YouTubes right now. So pretty happy about this. Went from like 0 subs to about 1.5K almost already in a month something. Also on LinkedIn, of course, you can find Rene Lambert, and my company website, windgrow.com. Yeah.
Anything on school?
Yeah, we have a new school. Basically, I talk less about it because it's a free school. It's not like there's a lot of things. We're about 1.2K members right now, but I'm still building it. I'm building the course modules to learn all about operations, AI, and automation. But those courses are not out there. What you can find on school, if you search for Systems and Soda, so that's our name, you're going to be able to find templates that I give for free that it's actual templates, like it's actual sauce that I'm selling to other people. So one of those example is the AI content engine that I built. We've sold it for over $6,000 now. And at 3 clients, it's about 1.5 months, 2 months old. I'm not actively looking to sell it, but I'm selling it on autopilot right now. And it's something I give for free. So if you want to start making your first money, joining my school is also a great way to do it and learn new things.
Great
Yeah,
stuff. Well, Rene, thank you for coming on then. We'll see you on the next one. I'll want to update this conversation maybe in 6 to 12 months. Yeah, you're always a great guy to speak with. Thank you for coming on.
for sure.